Good morning. Just want to give you an update on what we're doing today. Today is officially, I guess, the true official first day of my garden season. I have decided to go ahead and start all my peppers today. The reason I'm doing peppers so early, and it's probably a lot earlier than most people would, I am eternally jinxed with having late peppers. Last year, people had been getting peppers for probably a month and a half, 2 months before I got my first one, because my peppers seem to take so much longer to get started. So I figure the problem, yeah, that's Jinx. The problem is that they're taking so much longer to get started that I have a shorter growing season. So I'm going to go ahead and start my peppers today. I figure it's not going to hurt anything. They're going to be up on this top shelf where we talked about having the heating pad and the grow lights and everything. You can see I still am storing everything else on the rest of the shelves because it's not time to start anything else. In a couple weeks I'll be starting, looks like cabbage, Brussels sprouts, and onions. But for now, peppers, I'm going to go ahead and start. If they do really well and I have to deal with it for a while, suck it up and make it work inside, I've got a spare room. I'll move a dresser up against the window, put in supplemental lighting, and I'll take care of business because I really want to get some good sized peppers this year. At the very end of the season last year, I got some really nice sized ones. So I just want to let you see how I'm doing this. I got one of my trays out, okay? And like I showed you in the other videos, as soon as I can move the cat out of the way, I have removed the corner so that once these plants start, I can just directly water, sorry about the dog, directly water right into this tray, and I won't have to disturb the plants. Until then, until everything's big enough and the root system is deep enough, I use this water bottle and I just spray everything very lightly. So what I've done was, this is if I have to buy a seed starter, I like this Happy Frog. It's from Fox Farm potting soil. I got this at Rural King. I have a couple bags of it. I try to get it in the fall when they're kind of trying to get it off the shelf, so they'll sell it a little cheaper. And I just leave it in my garage. But that stuff, that's what I started everything in last year, and it worked really well. So this year, I'm doing the same kind of thing. This tray, I got the potting soil, or the soil's in here. I sprayed some water on it because this has been sitting in the garage. Everything is with the cold temperatures and everything, it's super dry soil. So I went ahead and I sprayed some water on it, kind of stirred up the potting soil a little bit to try to get the water to go down in it, because a lot of times the water will just sit on it. So what I'm going to do next, by the way, that list I was looking at that tells you, when I did my seeds, I made a list of what I was going to plant and when. It's just kind of a general guideline. I keep this with my seeds. And peppers was the first thing to do. But anyway, so today I'm going to be planting California Wonder Peppers. I have a new pepper called an Emerald Giant, and I'm going to give that a shot. Red habaneros. I've got early jalapenos, red Marconi sweet peppers, which my kids love to eat. And then I have some red cayenne peppers, which I will dry those out. I'll dry them out and then I'll put them through my grinder and I'll make my own powdered cayenne pepper. And I like to also freeze dry these, or not freeze dry, dehydrate. I have a dehydrator. I don't have a freeze dryer, too expensive. Anyway, I will dehydrate these and I will store them either in vacuum sealed mason jars, or I'll do vacuum packed, thank you Jinx, vacuum packed bags, the vacuum bags, and I'll store them and I'll use them. Like, I like to throw this in, like, if I'm making a spicy chili. My husband loves spicy food, so I'll save it for stuff like that. But let me get a few peppers set out here and then I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, so I've spread my seeds in here. If you can look, what I do is I try to put about 2 seeds per little section here. I figure, especially the ones that I harvested myself, the Cali Wonder Peppers, those seeds are all from my peppers last year. I let a couple of my biggest peppers go to seed, and I harvested and saved those seeds, so I'm hoping they do okay. But it's the first year that I've ever saved my own Cali Wonders, because normally I don't have success with them and I think it's because I'm starting them too late. And I almost gave up on these last year, not realizing I hadn't educated myself enough on peppers. So I'm hoping I know enough that what I've learned will help somebody else and help you not make the same mistakes. So definitely start your peppers early. I'm in Ohio. It's still really cold. Actually, it's going to be warmer this week than it has in a very long time. There's actually a warm front coming through, which I love. And it's why the next thing we're going to do is maple syrup. Anyway, so we're going to be tapping trees later. But so what I do is I have one of these cute little skewer things, and I just basically go around. Let me see if I can get one on the camera here. And I just kind of push them in. You're supposed to be in about 1/4 of an inch, okay? So basically just make sure they're down under the soil. Some of these may have gotten more than 1 seed. That's okay. Or more than 2 seeds. I try to do 2 seeds per square, but there are a couple of them where, you know, my fingers are old. I don't have the best dexterity. I've also had surgery on my hands, so I may drop more than 1, and that's okay. So what I do is I just get all these under here. You'll see, I don't know if it shows up okay, but the way I label stuff, I label it on the side like that, because in the past I've labeled them with wooden popsicle sticks, even some plastic markers, and inevitably, if they're on somewhere a cat can reach, they'll take out the markers. Or if they're in the sun will fade the label off the side of the of the popsicle stick. And I have a whole section a couple years ago in my garden of mystery plants because I didn't know what they were for sure. I had an idea, but I didn't know what they were. So I tried to group them based on how they looked. And, you know, it was an assortment of squash and cucumber and weird things like that. But I try to keep, like, my tomatoes, I don't want those to be close together. I have cherry tomatoes that I'll plant like in containers, and I'll have Roma tomatoes that I do in a completely different section in my garden. I also will do, this year I'm doing hillbilly tomatoes. I did those last year. They are fantastic. They're huge. And if you're looking for a lower acidic slicing tomato, not a canning tomato, you can can with them, but you have to add some acid to it. So you'll have to add vinegar when you process them because they're not acidic. My husband has a tendency to be, he has to take omeprazole for acid reflux. So both the Hartman cherry tomatoes, or gooseberry, they're called Hartman gooseberry yellow tomatoes. They're about the size of a cherry tomato. You just pop them in your mouth and eat them. Very low acid. He loves them. He will snack on them all day. He loves the hillbilly tomatoes. There was one literally the size of my head last year. It was ridiculous. But those are the 3 kinds of tomatoes we're doing. And the Romas, I'll do those for salsa, sauce. I make pizza sauce, pasta sauce, whatever we can, we're going to make out of those this year. So anyway, but this method of marking the seeds has turned out to be, in my opinion, the best for me, because inevitably something happens. I had about on the back deck, and we had a huge windstorm while I was at work. And yeah, it knocked over some of the seedlings, but it also mixed up all of my tags. I don't know how that happened, but it did. I have chickens. If chickens find them on my back deck, chickens will pull them out. So, because when you're hardening off the plants, you know, that's when they're going to be outside unattended for several hours. But anyway, long story short, I mark it on the side. It just makes it easier. So let me get these all in here. I'll give it another water, and then I'll show you where we're going to put them. Okay, this is going to be fun trying to figure out how to do this one-handed. Everything's done. Everything is nice and neat, tucked away. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give it a gentle spray over the top. Okay, nothing major. Just, I mean, it was already pretty damp, but just a little bit. 'Cause I'm not going to touch it again for a day. I'll be over here every day pretty much watering this thing, watching to make sure it doesn't get moldy or anything. And now we got to put it up on the top shelf. I'm going to point it so the labels are facing out. I'm going to get it so I got to check my mat, make sure it's resting on the mat, and it appears to be 100% on the mat. Now, what I did with those lights, you can see how low they are, okay? And it looks like I'm going to have to do some adjusting on those. I'll get to that in a minute, though, to make sure everybody's getting a good dose of light. But the lights are really low. These lights are good because they're adjustable. I can move them up as the plants start to grow. But right now, we're going to hit them with 12 hours of light a day. They're going to be on a heating pad 24/7. The temperature of the soil, I think it said it needed to be I think it was between 80 and 85 degrees. So that heating pad's going to help that soil warm up. It's going to be in the sun when it's a sunny day, which it's not today, but I have this artificial lighting. So the house is, you know, we have a wood burner. Don't always use it. We're going to have to use it probably in a week or two because it's going to get really, really cold, and chances are that it's going to be like the electrical system. We have to worry about the grid, not us, but the grid. The last time it got really cold, we got a warning that they may have to cut power. So we just generally will go ahead and switch over to that. And that way we're prepared just in case. But so that'll help keep it nice and toasty too. So now it's just a matter of watering this stuff every day, keeping the heat on it, keeping the lights on it, and keeping them at a low level. And once they start to sprout, we'll move the lights up. But other than that, that's all there is for my peppers, and let's hope it works. We'll talk to you later. Bye.